Guten Tag, Sie haben Schloss Ritter erreicht?
This is Gabriel Knight. Can I speak to Wolfgang, please?
Ja, Herr Knight. Einen Moment, bitte.
Gabriel, it's so good to hear your voice. I had such a dream last night.
There's a good reason for that, Uncle Wolfgang. We need to talk.
Gabriel fills in Wolfgang on the events of the previous evening.
It is even worse than I thought.
You bet it is. We have to talk about what I'm supposed to do. What can you tell me about voodoo?
It sounds as though you have learned much during your investigation in New Orleans. Perhaps you will fill me in when we have a chance to sit down and talk.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I know only what you have told me. They seem to be very similar to the killings in Gunther's journal.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It was just another American city to me until I started dreaming about you. Now I feel it is not safe for you there. I wish you would leave.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I have not studied the subject. I have an intense dislike for them.
Do you have any idea what Cabri sans coeur means?
No, what does it mean?
It means goat without horns. It's a term used for human sacrifice in voodoo.
Well, let's hope we can avoid any more of that in this family.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
No, I'm afraid not.
I've heard rumors of a secret hound fool here in New Orleans.
Yeah, I am sure they have a temple there, and probably a very elaborate one. You should not go near it, though. Not alone.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
Yes. Tetlos people wear animal masks for their rituals, don't they? It is not at all uncommon. Many occult groups are based heavily on animal totems. Animals have such pure, primal traits. Spirituality, good or bad, is about reaching these pure levels. Aggressive and cunning like the snake. Agile and nurturing like the monkey. Even our family is associated with the image of a lion.
Do you know anything about Veves?
It is a visual symbol of one or more Loa. Each Loa has its own sign, which is used to summon it.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
Damballa is a snake. He is a Loa, a voodoo god.
Yes, he's one of the primary Loa of the Getty tribe.
I see. Good work. That information might prove useful.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
It is a voodoo Loa, is it not?
Yes, a particularly nasty one, so I understand. Have you come across anything about it in your research?
He seems to be feared by most voodoo groups. I haven't come across very much specific information.
What can you tell me about Schattenjägers?
Yes, of course. I sometimes forget how little you know of the family, Gabriel. I never understood how Heinz could allow his sons to remain ignorant. But now is not the time for that discussion. Schattenjäger is really two words in English, Gabriel. Schatten means shadow, and Jäger means hunter.
Shadow Hunter?
Yes, shadow hunter.
Tell me more about Schattenjägers.
We Ritters have been Schattenjägers for many centuries. No one is sure when it began or how, but we have records of ancestors as early as the 13th century fulfilling this role. Some believe that the role was given us when... But such fantasies cannot be of use to you at the moment, Gabriel.
Tell me more about Schattenjägers.
Most people are completely blind to the fact that evil does exist. It is out of vogue at the present, but I tell you, shadows of darkness, spirits, vampires, witches, demons, these things are real. It is to their advantage that the world has become so scientific, so cynical. But we know they exist, Gabriel, and we hunt them.
How do we hunt them? And why?
Why? Because it is our duty. We are the ones who know, Gabriel. As for how, that is something you will have to learn. But it is not easily explained over the phone.
Tell me more.
We can talk more about it.
Do you know anything about Rada drums?
Rada drums? You mean ceremonial drums?
Yes. The Gedi tribe uses drummers around the French Quarter as relay messengers to keep track of their business.
Those drums have a ceremonial use too. It would be useful to know their code, Gabriel.
I had Grace find some information on them.
That's my boy.
Tell me about yourself.
I hope there will be time for that later, Gabriel, after this is all over. For now, we must deal with the matter at hand.
Tell me about Tetelo.
Well, from your description of the ritual last night, I'd say that Gunther's mistress, Tetelo, is now the primary loa for the Gedi tribe. It seems she still controls them by possessing her female descendants and speaking through them. Do you remember in Gunther's journal he said that Tetelo was possessed by her father's loa during the killings in Charleston? This sounds similar, but Tetelo has obviously become a much more powerful loa than her father ever was. Probably because of the added power of the talisman.
Tell me more about Tetelo.
I believe she truly loved Gunther. After all, she was raised to be her father's daughter. Their religion was not a choice she made, but a duty she endured. How can she be blamed for that? The spirit she has become, that is a different matter. It is utterly evil. I am certain that the lower Tetela bears little resemblance to the woman Tetela was before the burning in Charleston.
Tell me more about Tetelo.
She once was a beautiful and intelligent woman, and she probably did not deserve Gunther's betrayal. But the Tetelo we fight now is more akin to her tribe's dark gods than to anything human in nature.
Tell me more about Tetelo.
She once was a beautiful and intelligent...
Let's talk about the talisman.
I myself have only seen it in old sketches and paintings, and in my dreams. It was in the family for centuries before Tetelo took it. It is believed to be as old as the role of Schattenjäger itself. The talisman has genuine power. I don't know how or why, but it is so. The Schattenjägers swore to use the power for good, never for evil. For defense, not offense. Since it fell into Tetlo's hands, I'm afraid to think what the power has been used for, or what it will be used for in the future. With the talisman, Tetlo has all the power and we none. The only possible way to fight her is to regain the talisman. Then we will at least be on more equal footing.
How can we regain the talisman?
We've been searching for the talisman for years, ever since we lost it. It's a terrible thing to know that something powerful that was entrusted to us is in the wrong hands. The talisman is probably buried with Tetlo's remains. That's what gives her loa so much power.
Is there anything else you can tell me about the talisman?
The most important thing about the talisman is that it be once again in the hands of the Schattenjägers.
How would we find Tetelo's remains?
Ha! We have pondered that question a long time, the Ritters. There are two probabilities. The first is that her remains are with the tribe at their current location. The other is that the remains were returned to a sacred place near the tribe's original homeland. We've tried to locate Tetelo's African homeland, but Gunther says so little in his journal about her tribe, and slaving records are practically non-existent. Also, Tetelo's tribe was utterly destroyed in its African form in the late 17th century. There was nothing like a census in Africa then. As for the other idea, we had no clue as to where Tetelo's people went after fleeing Charleston, until now.
How would we find Tetelo's remains again?
We must locate the tribe's original African homeland. Her remains might be there, or they might be in New Orleans, buried among her descendants.
How would we find Tetelo's remains again?
We must...
Let's discuss the possible African homeland.
All right. Have you learned anything that might help us locate it?
I spoke with the Professor Hartridge, unfortunately for him. He thinks the tribe's name was Agri, and that they lived near the Fon tribe in what is now called the People's Republic of Benin.
That is incredible, Gabriel. I must go research this new information in my library right now.
Wait, what should I do?
Stay low. If you get a chance, you might look into the possibility that Tetelo's remains are somewhere in New Orleans. But don't try to broach their private areas without my assistance, Gabriel. You will make a fine Schattenjäger, but only if you are not dead.
Sure, I'll wait.
Bye then, Gabriel. And remember, if you need a place of safety, come to Schloss Ritter.
Goodbye, Uncle Wolfgang. I might need a flashlight. I'm going out for a bit.
Be careful.
The plate's already up, and Gabriel doesn't. Gabriel hears the faint sound of breaking glass.
Damn, you'd think there'd be a light.
Gabriel can't tell.
Mosley! Shit, I dropped my flashlight.
Ouch! My head! What the hell was that?
Gab- There's a wallet in the drawer. It must have fallen from Mosley's jacket when the body was moved. There's no reason to mess. Gabriel. Gabriel. The drawer's interiors contain mostly dust and bones. Gabriel. This appears to be a mourning chamber, a place for family members to come and sit and remember the dead. It's a man's wallet. There's not. Gabriel opens the wallet and finds some ID belonging to Mosley and an Americans Repressed card. Gabriel. Gabriel.
Where have you been? I was worried about you.
For good reason, apparently.
What happened? Do you need a doctor?
Nothing you want to know about, and no, just some aspirin.
Gabriel, this is nuts. You have to get out of New Orleans.
No kidding.
Well, listen. Wolfgang called while you were out. He said, and I quote, "Tell Gabriel that I found what I was looking for. It's time for me to do my duty. Schloss Ritter is his now." Now, call me crazy, but I don't think that's good news.
Not for Uncle Wolfie, no.
What are you gonna do?
If I figure it out, I'll let you know.